What is up guys, my name is Ignas, welcome back to the channel. 2 months back, Steve Weiss, Short Hills Capital founder and managing partner, went on CNBC's halftime report to talk about a chip name that he just made a long trade in. The interview was a bit of a mess, but I'll try to give you the most interesting parts from it. So let's see.
Teradyne has a robotics and automation arm division, and Goldman had a call with them last week, and it's growing by like 57, 60% a year. So when you put that together with what I had said yesterday, that semis are no longer cyclically dependent upon PCs and base technology instruments, that they're going to continue to grow through. So testing, whether or not there's a shortage in producing semis or not, you still need the testing equipment, both for your current devices and networks, as well as the ones that companies are introducing. That's why I bought Taiwan.
I understand,
it's just extraordinarily cheap.
I understand, but look, we both know that if...
I'm sorry, I bought Teradyne.
Yeah, Teradyne.
On October 14th of 2021, Teradyne closed at $112.72 per share. That was where Steve got in, almost 22% down from the year's highs. But now it turns out that it was a great call, because in a few months the stock is now at $165 per share, up 46.6% or $50 each share. But now I would like to check if Teradyne is still a good pick to be adding in right now, or could there be better choices from the same industry. I've picked 2 more names, so for the comparison we will have KLA Corporation, ticker symbol KLAC, Teradyne TER, and Entegris, ticker ENTG. In order to make the comparison possible, we will be looking into 9 different factors: last 4 quarterly earnings results, annual revenue growth, analysts price targets, forward price to earnings ratio, price to sales ratio, return on equity, current ratio, dividend yield, and insider buying-selling activity. The best company under each factor will get a point, so it is possible to have from 0 to 9 points, and in the end the stock with the most points will be considered the winner of this comparison. I understand that it could be tough to sit through 10 minutes of analysis, so I will bring the results up front for you to take a look into first. Results for each factor have been added into a table and points assigned. KLA Corporation got 6 points, Teradyne 3, and Entegris 2. So the results show that with 6 points, KLA Corporation is considered the winner of this comparison. So now you have the result, but if you are still interested in how we got here, then continue on with the analysis. First factor are the quarterly earnings results. When a company reports earnings, they are compared to expectations of analysts. So earnings can either beat expectations, meet them, or miss them. We will consider that beating expectations is a +1, meeting +0.5, and missing 0. Then we sum the results up to a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 4, and in the end the stock with the highest sum gets a point for this factor. So these are quarterly earnings for KLA, and Q4 of 2020 beat expectations, Q1 of 2021 beat, Q2 beat expectations, and Q3 beat. So with 4 beats in quarterly earnings, we get a sum of 4. Earnings of Teradyne, and Q4 of 2020 beat expectations, Q1 of 2021 beat, Q2 beat expectations, and Q3 beat. So with 4 beats in quarterly earnings, we again get a sum of 4. Earnings for Entegris, and Q4 of 2020 beat expectations, Q1 of 2021 missed, Q2 beat expectations, and Q3 beat. So with 3 beats and 1 miss in quarterly earnings, we get a sum of 3. Results for the last 4 quarterly earnings factor are in the table, and with sums of 4, both KLA and Teradyne each gets a point. Second factor is the annual revenue growth. As investors, we want to find that the revenues of a company are on a steady increase. We will take a look into the revenues of the 4 most recent years and compare them one by one. If revenue was on the increase from one year to the next, we will consider it as a +1, and if it was on the decrease, it will be a +0. Then we sum the results up to a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 3, and in the end the stock with the highest sum gets a point for this factor. So in 2018, KLA reported revenues at $4 billion US, then in 2019 that increased to $4.57 billion, 2020 was at $5.81 billion, and in 2021 they got revenue revenue at $6.92 billion. So with 3 increases in annual revenues, we get a sum of 3. Revenues for Teradyne. In 2017, they reported $2.14 billion US. Then in 2018, that decreased to $2.1 billion. 2019 was an increase to $2.29 billion. And 2020 was another increase to $3.12 billion. So with 1 decrease and 2 increases in annual revenues, we get a sum of 2. Revenues for Entegris, and in 2017 they reported $1.34 billion US. Then in 2018 revenue increased to $1.55 billion. 2019 that was another increase to $1.59 billion, and 2020 was at $1.86 billion. So with 3 increases in annual revenues, we get a sum of 3. Results for the annual revenue growth factor are in the table, and with sums of 3, both KLA and Entegris each gets a point. Next factor are the analysts' price targets. As potential investors, we want to find how far the current share price is away from the average analyst price target. If the current price is under the average target, we will consider the stock as undervalued, and in the end, the stock with share prices furthest away from the average analyst price target to the lower side gets a point for this factor. So for KLA, we have 21 price target of analysts. They range from the lows of $330 to the highs of $508 per share. The average is at $438.57, and the current price is now at $429.80. This means that there is still around 2% of room for the current price to reach the average target of analysts. For Teradyne, we have 20 price targets of analysts. They range from the lows of $121 to the highs of $200 per share. The average is at $160.85, and the current price is at $165.11. This shows that the current price needs to go down for 2.6% to reach the average target of analysts. For Entegris, we have 11 price targets of analysts. They range from the lows of $148 to the highs of $183 per share. The average is at $167.73, and the current price is at $137.13. So there is still around 22.3% of room for the current price to reach the average target of analysts. Results for the analysts' price targets factor are in the table, and with most room for growth, Entegris gets another point. Factor number 4 is the forward price to earnings ratio. It is calculated by taking the current share price and dividing it by the estimated future earnings per share. This is the standard price to earnings calculation with the difference that earnings here are predicted by analysts. So in the end, the stock with the lowest forward price to earnings ratio gets a point for this factor. KLA has the forward price to earnings at 19.65. Forward price to earnings for Teradyne is at 25.25. And Entegris has the forward price to earnings at 38.02. Forward price to earnings ratios are in the table, and with the lowest value, KLA gets another point. Factor number 5 is the price to sales ratio. It is calculated by taking the company's market cap and dividing it by the trailing 12 months worth of sales. The formula suggests to be looking for a company with a low market cap and a high result in sales. So in the end, the stock with the lowest price to sales ratio gets a point for this factor. KLA has the price to sales at 8.51. Price to sales for Teradyne is at 8.30, and Entegris has the price to sales at 9.19. Price to sales ratios are in the table, and with the lowest value a point to Teradyne. Next factor is return on equity. The ratio here suggests how well the company is managed and if money from investors are handled efficiently. So in the end, the stock with the highest return on equity percentage gets a point for this factor. KLA has the return on equity at 82.33%. Return on equity for Teradyne is at 43.56%, and Entegris has return on equity at 25.92%. Return on equity percentages are in the table, and with the highest value, a point goes to KLA. Factor number 7 is the current ratio. It is calculated by taking the current assets and dividing them by the current liabilities. As investors, we want to find that the company is able to cover its debts with assets, but also that they are still actually being leveraged. So in the end, the stock with the highest current ratio under 3 gets a point for this factor. KLA has the current ratio at 2.43. Current ratio for Teradyne is at 3.45. And Entegris has the current ratio at 4.12. Current ratios are in the table, and with the highest result under 3, KLA gets another point. Factor number 8 is the dividend yield. It is calculated by taking the annual dividend per share and dividing it by the share price. A high yield may suggest that the company is sharing profits with shareholders, and that is a great passive income source that we as investors are looking for. So in the end, the stock with the highest dividend yield percentage gets a point for this factor. KLA is paying an annual dividend of $4.20 per share, which is a yield of 0.98%. Teradyne is paying a dividend of 40 cents per share, and that comes in at a yield of 0.24%, and Entegris is paying 42 cents per share annually, which is a yield of 0.23%. Dividend yields are in the table, and with the highest percentage, one more point to KLA. The last factor will be the insider buying-selling activity. We will check how much of capital insiders bought or sold in the last 6 months, and then compare that to the company's current market cap. If they bought more than sold, we will get their positive contribution to the company's market cap, and if they sold more than bought, that will come in as a downward pressure for the price. So in the end, the company which insiders bought the most gets a point for this factor. In the last 6 months, insiders bought $0 worth of KLA and sold just under $29 million worth of shares. So in total, that is a $29 million downward pressure for the company. Since the market cap for KLA is around $65 billion, by selling the stock, insiders put downward pressure of around 0.0004%. For Teradyne, again in the last 6 months we have 0 buys from insiders, and they sold out of around 5.5 million worth of shares. With the market cap of just under $27 billion, that is a downward pressure of 0.0002%. And for Entegris, insiders made 0 buys, but sold around $45 million worth of shares. With the market cap of $18.6 billion, that was downward pressure of 0.002%. The results for the insider activity factor are in the table, and with least selling pressure, a point goes to Teradyne. We can now calculate results, so KLA Corporation got 6 points, Teradyne 3, and Entegris 2. This means that with 6 points, KLA Corporation is considered the winner of this comparison. And that was it. If you got value or new ideas, then make sure to push that thumbs up, it helps the channel a lot. So what do you think? Do you agree with the result? Leave your preferred pick in a comment below. If you are by any chance interested to know exactly when I buy or sell any stock, then consider memberships. By becoming a member, you will get access to Discord, where I share my stock watchlist and all the buys and sells exactly when I do them. This could be a great option to track my moves closely. Last week I made an analysis on a large semiconductor company, so if you would be interested in that, then click on a video that is currently on the screen. And that was it from my side. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing y'all in the next one.